Today we're going to be looking at a simple tool but a brilliant tool. It's developed by Rob Cosman in conjunction with a veteran who was on one of Rob's courses back in 2017 called Shawn. Shawn came up with this great idea of offsetting the tailboard by the thickness or the kerf of your dovetail saw. And what that does is it reduces the amount of chisel work that you need to, well actually it totally removes the chisel work that you need to do on your pins. And it makes it so accurate that from cutting your tails and cutting your pins, chiseling the shoulders, you can fit your tailboard directly into your pinboard first time, every time. Now I've done this on 3 occasions now, and I was that impressed by it. I thought I've got to make a video about this, and I'm going to promote it because I want all my students using this method, and I want all my subscribers to see how brilliant it is. Now, if you haven't seen Rob's videos as well, I'll put a link to Rob's channel because he's a master craftsman and he's brilliant, and I've learned a lot from him. So today you're going to see the way that I do my dovetails is probably a mixture of Rob's methods, Paul Sellers, with a little sprinkle of Karl Pope in there as well. So we're going to go through the full method of cutting one side of a box here with some through dovetails using the Shawn shim and a couple of other little methods that I'm going to throw in there as well, which I think you'll like. First thing we're going to do, as always, is make sure that our boards are square on one side and mark that first side and first edge. Happy days. Then we're going to flip the tailboard over, so we're looking at the inside and our first side is facing down. We're just going to pop our pin board on top, and all we're going to do is make it so it's a hair over on the tailboard at the bottom there. Then put a little dot with a pencil on the inside. There's our dot there. And then we're going to take our masking tape at this stage, and we're going to put 5 layers of masking tape, just a couple of mil over that line there. And this is going to give us a nice reference later on when we're marking out our pins from our tails to put our board up to it nice and square. And we'll just spin that over, remove the excess. And then all we're going to do is take our pin board again, place it back up onto the tailboard, tiny little overhang on the tailboard underneath there, make a little mark with our pencil, spin that round, get our square, make sure I'm referencing off the face edge, and then I'm just going to score that tape, building it up gradually until it's nice and deep. Remove that excess tape there, and there's our shoulder line for our dovetails. And now I'm going to carry that round onto the shoulders, placing my knife into that knife line, carry it around on the shoulder there. Same on the other side, place it into the knife line, carry it round on the shoulder, because we're going to be removing these outside shoulders. For this line across the front, I like to use a pencil so I don't have deep knife lines in my end product in the outside of my drawer or box or whatever I'm making. There we go. And them lines, if you've got a nice square piece of timber, should marry up all the way around. And then before moving on, we'll quickly mark the shoulders on the pin board as well, remembering that your face side just wants to be marked with a pencil so you don't get deep knife lines in there. Pencil on the mark. I'm going to flip that over. I'm just going to pop a little knife line right on the end of that pencil mark there so I can transfer that over accurately. Remembering to reference off the face. Not marking the shoulders on this one though, I'm just using it to reference across. There we go. And with this being the inside edge, I'm happy to mark with a knife straight across here. Knife into the knife line, bring that across gently, building up the pressure. And now that's that one ready to go as well. We're going to use our combination square to mark in for our pins, and we're going to come in 10mm. I think as a beginner it's ideal to start with nice strong pins so you're not splitting them. So we'll come in either side, 10mm, and then we're just going to find the centre of this board, and I just do that by guesstimating halfway, making a little pencil mark, guesstimate from the other side, and then in between them two lines is my halfway point, and then 5mm either side of that line. That line's bang on already, and then there, that's my centre pin. Mark these across with a square and a knife. Mark where the waist is going to be. Then we're going to use a sliding bevel to mark out our dovetails, and we're going to do a 1:7 ratio. You could use a dovetail marking gauge like this one, which I got from Banggood, but I don't really like using them. I just like to use a simple sliding bevel. Great bit of kit, comes in handy for all sorts of stuff. So as you can see here, I've marked up 7 inches, and I've marked across 1 inch, and I've just joined them two lines up from top to bottom, and then that angle there from top to bottom, and then that gives us our 1:7 ratio. So all I have to do is put my sliding bevel up against there like so, move the sliding bevel until it locates onto that line. Doesn't have to be perfect, no one's going to know what ratio you've used. Lock it into position, and I like to do it so it's halfway so I can flip it around either side, and it just makes it more versatile. And just take your pencil, place it directly into the knife line, bring your sliding bevel up to it, and make your mark. Slide over to the next one, make your mark, rotate your sliding bevel, and do the opposite too. And then do the rear. Before we cut our tails, we just need to make sure that the board is square to the vise so that we build that muscle memory up. And then what we can do as well is we can use the actual square to give our saw a guide so we get a perfectly square cut along the top. So place your saw onto your line, bring the square up against it, and it's perfectly square, starting off on that correct 1:7 angle, and then just continue down nice and light. Let the saw do the work. And then moving on to the next one. Saw into your knife mark, square up against your saw, at the correct 1:7 angle. Let that saw do the work. Don't go down into your shoulder. Perfect. This is where things start getting interesting. We're going to take the pin board with the face side facing me and place that lightly in the vise. Bring my hand plane up to it, and I'm going to get that square and flush along the top of the hand plane there. Nip the vise up. Then I get my tail board, and the tape side should be facing down, and when I pull that up to my pins, you should get a positive stop. Now we're going to get the Shawn shim, and we're going to use the 24 thousandths of an inch, and we're going to have the slim side facing up first, so the thicker side butts up against the pins, and then you put your tail board push that up against the Shawn shim on the slimmer side. And because we've pushed the tailboard to the right, we're going to mark the left hand side of the tails. And we just use the knife and go down the kerf of the tails. And then we're going to get the Shawn shim block again, and this time we're going to place the thicker side and we're going to rest it on top of our pins. We're going to push our tails back up against it, and because we've pushed the tailboard to the left, we now mark the right hand side. Again, pushing down the kerf, the saw kerf cut. And then when you remove your tailboard, you've got the exact location of where you need to cut with your dovetail saw straight down your knife line. Now to cross-reference our pin lines down to our shoulder line nice and plumb, we're just going to place our pencil into that knife line at the top there, bring our square up to it and carry on down. This is just going to help us get a plumb cut. I'll do this on both sides. Mark the waist. As always, we make sure that our board is square in the vise. And now my body is at an angle, but I'm cutting perfectly plumb, and my blade is going straight into the knife line. So there's no cutting on the waist side, straight down the line. Now we're going to use the fret saw to remove the bulk of the waist. Try and get about 1 millimetre away from my line. Just start rotating the blade as I get towards my pin so I don't cut into my pin. There we go. Coming in towards my pin, start rotating. Pop that bit out. And now before I chisel down to this shoulder, I'll remove this centre part here on the tails with a fret saw. Now I'm just going to rotate onto its side and show you what I do next. So what I like to do next is we're still on the tails board here, and we're just removing this outside area where the pin's going to go, and we've got our tail here. So what I'm going to do is get my chisel, take a small wedge out, tail saw straight into the wall we've just created. Let the saw do the work. Being careful not to cut into your tail. Pop that little bit off. Remove anything out the bottom. We're on the home stretch now. Tiny bit of chisel work to do, and remembering on the face side we did a knife mark, so we're just going to need to put our knife just into that inside area where the pin's going to go, and just put a knife hole there for our chisel to go into, and then we can go straight into there with our chisel. I'm going to just do a slight undercut. Go about halfway down. Spin it round. This side's already got a knife wall there, and I've got my tape so I can place that directly into there, the chisel. Slight undercut. 'Into that knife wall now. £9 at night. I'm just clearing out these last little bits in the corner for you. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video. Just doing a slight undercut, and I'm taking any debris out from inside the corners, bearing right up on the chisel. If you have enjoyed the video, please make sure that you like, and more importantly, subscribe. And if you've got any questions, ask away in the comments and I'll do my best to answer you. And now we won't need to remove anything off the pins. That's the best thing about this technique. And this just slot straight together. I'm just undercutting a little bit underneath there. Make sure there's nothing in the bottom there to get in the way. Also, a massive thank you to all our Patreon supporters, channel members, and to everyone who's only just giving to buy audio equipment and lighting and just to make the channel improvements. And you're listening via the new microphones we bought, so thanks a lot, guys. Hopefully the audio is pretty good. Right, moment of truth. So if you're making a box of some type, you could leave this tape on because it's the inside edge, and then you won't get no glue squeeze out in there. That'd be quite handy. We're going to peel it off now, and we're going to do the test fit. Let's see how it goes. And here we have it, the first test fit. We've removed nothing off the pins, straight from the saw. Bring our tails up to it. And that is a lovely fit. Here's the two that I've just done. Zoom in really close so you can see. Here's the one with a tiny little gap there, look. And that's zoomed in really close. But they have turned out absolutely amazing for me. These are the results you can get first time using the Shawn shim. Highly recommend it. Great dovetails every time. I'll leave links to where you can get Rob's Shawn shim from his website. And yeah, just thanks a lot for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Hopefully you've learned some stuff along the way. I've enjoyed making the video. It's gone 9 o'clock now, so I'm going to go get a takeaway and get myself to bed. So see you later, guys. Thanks a lot, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.